Good morning, children. Stay safely at home. So, Carnot cheat engine, the first describing all the steps together. Okay. So, first step is you place the cylinder along with the working substance, that is an ideal gas, on the source. Alright, and then on the piston, weights were there, so that weights are removed very slowly. So when the weights will remove, then what will happen? Pressure will decrease, isn't it? So when pressure will decrease, then what will happen? Volume of the gas will increase. Means you can say the gas will expand, and when the gas will expand, as it is kept on the source, means a heat reservoir of temperature T1, what it will try to do, it will try to maintain its temperature at T1 by absorbing a heat Q1 from the source. Alright, so if you consider what is done, here is the ideal gas. Along with the cylinder, you have kept it on the source, which is maintained at the temperature T1. So first what is done? Cylinder is placed on the source. Alright. Second, weights are removed very slowly. Why very slowly? So that the process can become isothermal, and gas undergoes isothermal expansion. So what is the initial state of the gas? P1 is the pressure, V1 is the volume, T1 is the temperature. Then the final state, pressure decreases to P2, volume increases to V2, temperature remain the same. So how it is possible? When it will expand, then it will try to cool down. Then it can keep its temperature constant by absorbing heat Q1. So you can show it in the diagram. So this is the way point wise one can write down every step, that is everything that is performed during the first step of Carnot's ideal heat engine. So in this case, you can write Q1 as it is an isothermal process. Already we have done it, that dU will be 0. So dQ is equal to dW, and you can write that Q is equal to W, means, and W is how much? V1 to V2 PdV. Again PdV, you can write it down RT1. PdV, means P, you can write it down RT by V. So you can write integration V1 to V2 dV by V. So dV by V integration is log V, and when you substitute the values V2 to V1, it will become RT1 log V2 by V1. Alright, so you are unable to means do these two steps, then directly you can write Q1 is equal to RT1 log V2 by V1. So you have to remember this step. Is that clear? And if you draw the P versus V graph, then you see here I have taken, okay, small p only I have written. So here also I am writing small p. So you see the graph will undergo from A, it will come to the point B, and it is an isothermal expansion. So it will be Q1, and A is P1, V1, T1, and B, the parameters are P2, V2, T2. P2, V2, T2. Alright, so in the graph if I represent, it will look like this. So this is the first step of the Carnot's ideal heat engine. Then the second step is, second step is that now the cylinder is kept on the insulating stand. This is insulating stand. Alright, and then weights are removed first. So what will happen when the weights are removed first? The gas will undergo expansion, but as it is kept on the insulating stand, the gas won't be able to exchange heat with the surrounding. It means what? The gas will undergo adiabatic expansion. So if you consider the initial state of the gas, it was pressure P2, volume V2, temperature T1. Then as it is undergoing expansion, the volume will increase to V3, pressure will decrease to P3. Now the question is, during adiabatic expansion, what will happen to the temperature of the gas? You know that adiabatic expansion causes cooling. So the temperature of the gas will start decreasing. That's why I have written here that this removal of weight, how long it takes place? Till the temperature of the gas becomes equal to the temperature of the sink T2. Is that clear? So you see, if you now plot the graph for means P and V, as I said that initially it was in the state A, then it has undergone the isothermal expansion. This is isothermal expansion, and then now for the second step it will undergo adiabatic expansion. So you know adiabatics are steeper, so you see the graph is steeper. So if you write down the pressure, volume and temperature, this is P2 V2 T1 and this is P3 V3 T2. Temperature has become T2. Now in this case, during the first process, heat is absorbed within the system. And what are the pressure, temperature, volume? Pressure P1, volume V1 and temperature is T1. So this is the thing will happen. Now whenever during adiabatic process, the relation between temperature and volume is this, that Tv to the power gamma minus 1 is equal to constant. Okay, during adiabatic expansion, what is the relation between temperature and volume? This is the point you have to remember, that temperature into V to the power gamma minus 1 is equal to constant. I hope you can remember what is gamma. Gamma is the ratio of Cp to Cv. Okay, now you see, if you apply this for this adiabatic expansion, what will happen? What is the initial temperature? T1. What is the volume that time? V2. So you can write T2 V2 to the power gamma minus 1 is equal to, for the point C, what is the volume? V3, temperature T2. So you can write T2, then V3 to the power gamma minus 1. So this is equation number 2. For the first step, what you have got? Q1 is equal to RT1 log V2 by V1. And for the second step, this is the mathematical relation you are getting. Okay, this is the second step. Then the third step is, the next in step 3, what is done? Now the cylinder is kept on the sink. Okay, I hope you can remember at the end of the step 2, what was the temperature of the gas? T2. What is the temperature of the sink? T2 only. So now what is done? The cylinder is kept on the sink and now you start adding the weight. In the first 2 steps, you have removed the weight from the piston. Okay, now in the third and fourth step, what you have to do? You have to add the weights. And in the third step, the adding of weight is done very slowly so that the temperature of the system remain constant. So what is happening when you are adding the weight? It will be compression and you are keeping the temperature of the gas constant. It means the gas undergoes isothermal compression. So you see, it is so fantastic. The first step, isothermal expansion. Second step is adiabatic expansion. Alright, now the weights are added means pressure will increase from P3 to P4, volume will decrease from V3 to P4. So if you draw the graph in there, it will be like this. It is undergoing isothermal compression. Alright, and what is the final state here? Pressure increases to P4, volume decreases to V4, but the temperature remain constant at T2. So you know that whenever adiabatic compression takes place, then what happens? The temperature try to increase. isn't it? So, isothermal compression takes place, then temperature try to increase. But how the system keep the temperature constant? By releasing heat to the surroundings. So, what the gas will do? Gas will release heat to Q2 to the sink. Alright, so these arrows are important. I hope you can remember. In the first step, I gave the arrow from the source to the gas. Now here, from the gas, it is released to the sink. So arrow should be towards the sink. So how to calculate Q2? As it is releasing heat, according to the sign convention, when heat is released, the sign is negative. So it will be minus integration. It is from V3 to V4, then PdV. Again, in place of PdV, you can write down RT2. It will be dV by V. It is V3 to V4. So you are getting RT2, then log V it will be, and if you substitute this, it will come log V4 by V3, but due to this negative sign, what it will become? RT2 log V3 by V4. Because if you observe the negative sign within the bracket, then it will become log V3 minus log V4. And log V3 minus log V4 is log V3 by V4. So, what is the relation? You are supposed to remember that Q2 is given by RT2 log V3 by V4. So, regarding the third step, you have to draw the diagram, you have to show it in the PV graph, and then these are the points you have to write. Q2 is how it is coming to RT2 log V3 by V4, that you can omit, okay, because that is the mathematical part. Next is step 4 and the last step. The last step is, now the gas cylinder, it is placed on the insulating stand and weights are added, but it is added faster. So when weights are added, then what will happen? Pressure will increase. Now weights are added means pressure will increase and volume will decrease. Is that clear? Now what about the temperature? You are compressing it, so temperature will increase. So this process continued. So here you have to write process continued or continue till the gas attains the initial state. So what was the initial state? Pressure P1, volume V1, temperature T1. So pressure will increase to P1, volume will decrease to V1, temperature will increase to T1. So you see in the graph how you can show that this is the adiabatic compression. So from the point D, it is going back to A again, and here it is representing adiabatic compression. Alright, so easy to remember. First isothermal expansion, then adiabatic expansion. Isothermal expansion means you have to keep it on the source, remove the weight. Adiabatic expansion means you have to keep on the insulating stand, remove the weight. Then isothermal compression means, you have to keep it on the sink, okay, and add the weight. And adiabatic compression means you have to, whenever adiabatic thing will come, you have to keep it on the insulating stand. Alright, so you have to keep it on the insulating stand, alright, and you have to add the weight faster because it is an adiabatic compression. Alright, so in this case also you can write TV to the power gamma minus 1 is constant. So if you apply the means what the state at D and A, means the initial and final state, you see what are you getting? You are getting T2 V4 to the power gamma minus 1 is equal to T1 V1 to the power gamma minus 1. This is equation 4. Alright, so these are all the steps. In this case, I forgot to show you one thing, that isothermal compression means it is releases heat Q2 to the surroundings. So this is the complete graph. All the 4 steps are shown, all the states are written, okay. When heat is absorbed, heat is released, that is also shown in the diagram. So you must learn point-wise as I wrote on the whiteboard. Then we have to find the efficiency of the Carnot's ideal heat engine. So you see, from all the 4 steps, these are the relations, mathematical relations we have got. Okay. So if you want to find out the efficiency of the engine, you know efficiency of the engine is given by 1 minus Q2 by 1 minus it was Q2 by Q1. Alright. 1 minus Q2 by Q1. So if you substitute Q2, you will get RT2 log V3 by V4 divided by RT1 log V2 by V1. This is equation 5. Alright. Now, if you consider second and fourth equation. Alright. So, if you just divide second equation by fourth equation, then you see T1 will get cancelled. It will be V2 by V1. Gamma minus 1, it will be V3 by V4 gamma minus 1. What does it mean? It means that V2 by V1 is equal to V3 by V4. This is the fifth relation we have got. So, if you substitute the fifth relation in fourth, means if you consider 4 and 5 relation, then you see eta you can write it as 1 minus RT2 means log V3 by V4 is equal to V2 by V1, and it is also V2 by V1. So you can cancel this. You are getting RR also you can cancel 1 minus T2 by T1. Alright. So what is the expression for efficiency? 1 minus T2 by T1. So you may get 5 marks question also, you may get 2 marks question, 3 marks question, and numericals also we have to solve on Carnot's heat engine. So these are the 4 steps you have to describe in order to get one expression for efficiency. So you may get the question, probable question are that show that find out an expression for the efficiency of a Carnot heat engine by discussing all the 4 steps in details. Then whatever I have discussed, the way I have discussed, that you have to do. Now another point, efficiency is 1 minus T2 by T1. So efficiency depends on what? Efficiency of the Carnot heat engine, it depends on the temperature of the sink and temperature of the source. Alright, so I repeat, on what factor efficiency of a Carnot ideal heat engine depends? Carnot's ideal heat engine efficiency depends on temperature of the source, first point. Then second point, temperature of the sink. Then, on which factor Carnot's heat engine's efficiency does not depend? It does not depend on the nature of the working substance. Alright? It does not depend. I repeat, because it is very important. Efficiency of the Carnot heat engine does not depend on the nature of the working substance used. The next is Carnot's ideal heat pump, not engine, which is also known as refrigerator. Now in the refrigerator, what is done, you know, that heat is extracted from the cold body and it is released to the hotter place, that is the surroundings. Whatever you are keeping inside the fridge, that is already cold and it is making colder. What does it mean? Heat is extracted from the cold body. Then where it is where it is transferred. It is transferred, you have seen the wear mesh behind the refrigerator, although nowadays it is not visible. You will see that becomes hot. Means where the heat is released, it is released to the surroundings, to the hotter place. Alright. So the device which absorb heat or transfer heat from a cold body to a hot body or hotter place is known as the refrigerator or heat pump. Okay. So you see, if you just compare it with the heat engine, in this case also there are 3 parts of the system. There is a hot body which we call the source in case of engine, which is maintained at constant high temperature T1. There is a cold body which was known as sink in case of engine, maintained at temperature T2. There is a working substance. Alright. So what is done? The working substance, it absorbs heat Q2 from the cold body. body. Then it releases heat Q1 to the hot body. But as you know from the second law of thermodynamics, that Clausius statement given that it is impossible to transfer heat from the cold body to hot body until and unless an external agent does certain amount of work. So here an external agent should do certain amount of work on the working substance. Working substance is the that chlorofluorocarbon that is used, the gas that is passing through the pipes present within the refrigerator. And who is the external agent doing the work on the gas? That is the compression. I hope you know that in case of refrigerator, there is a part that is known as the compression. Alright, so compression is the external agent which is doing the work on the gas or on the working substance. Now if you consider the conservation of energy, then you see, look at the arrows. I hope you can remember the engine one. Engine one, just everything is like this only the direction of arrows you have to reverse. So if you reverse the direction of arrows in the engine, then it becomes heat pump or it becomes the refrigerator. So in this case also you see that is arrows W and Q2, it is towards the system. And this is the heat Q1 outside the system. Okay, so you can write Q1 is equal to W plus Q2. So you see, you can write W is equal to Q1 minus Q2. Alright, so if you take Q2 common, what it will become? Q1 by Q2 minus 1. Now, already we know that Q1 by Q2 is equal to T1 by T2. Already we have proved it. Okay, in the heat engine we have proved. Exactly in the same manner you can prove it here also. That Q1 by Q2 is equal to T1 by T2. So, you see, you can write W is equal to Q2 into T1 by T2 minus 1. Alright. Now, in case of the heat pump, we define one term, that is coefficient of performance. It is exactly like the efficiency of the heat engine, just we have given the different name, coefficient of performance. So, in case of coefficient of, I forgot to write the name, coefficient of performance, actually it is efficiency only. You can write performance. You can write it again. It should be output by input. Now, in case of refrigerator, what is the output? How much coldness the refrigerator can create. So, if it absorb more heat, it will be able to create more coldness, isn't it? So you can say what is the output for a refrigerator, how much heat it is absorbing from the cold body. And we have seen that, I rubbed the diagram, it is absorbing Q2 amount of it. Is that clear? What is the input? The whatever work compression is doing on the system, that is the input. So what is the input? Input is W. Alright, so you see, you can write Q2 and W was Q2 into, I hope it was Q2 I have taken common, yes, T1 by T2 minus 1 because I have rubbed it. So Q2 cancel. So if you simplify it, you see it will become T2 and here it will come T1 minus T2. So okay, I am writing one more step. So it is T1 minus T2 by T2. So you are getting K is equal to T2 by T1 minus T2. So this is the expression for coefficient of performance of a heat pump or refrigerator. This derivation also you must learn and prepare for your exam. That's all. This is all about the theory part of this chapter. Thank you, children.